Recording in progress.
This is the Diman Regional School Committee meeting for November 7th, 2024. We have a roll call.
Mr. Jennings?
Here.
Mr. Began?
Here.
Mr. DiBiase?
Here.
Mr. Manuels?
Here.
Ms. Menard? Here. Dr. Nara?
We have a quorum. In accordance to Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 20F, any member of the public may make an audio or video recording of this public meeting. A member of the public who wishes to record the meeting must first notify the chair and must comply with the reasonable requirements regarding audio or video equipment established by the chair is not to interfere with the meeting. Anybody recording?
No.
Mr. Matters is probably at the
That's true. Yep.
All right, pledge allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Need a motion to approve the minutes of October 10th, 2000. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Need approval of minutes of October 18th, 2024. Need a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? 1.4 student report.
Thanks. My name is Ace Whitcamper. I'm from Fall River and I'm a junior in the electronics engineering shop. My appreciation for this trade started in middle school when I built my own computer to play games on. When I graduate from here, I intend to continue pursuing electronics in college, likely through electrical engineering. And first of all, members of the Diman Math team participated in WPI's 34th annual Invitational Mathematics Meet on Friday, October 18th. The team represented Diman Regional well. Gabriel Frost of Fall River earned a $1,000 scholarship to Worcester Polytechnic Institute for his excellence during the individual round of competition. Football is 7-1. They played now set tonight in the non-playoff bracket of the state tournament. Volleyball qualified for the Division I state tournament and lost to Birmingham in round 1. They had a great season with 11 wins and 7 losses. Boys soccer finished the season 5-5-8 and played Wellesley in Division I state tournament. Girls soccer finished the season 3-14-2. Cross country, golf, dance team, and cheer squad had strong seasons and look forward to next season. Key Club is getting actively involved in community service projects. Drama Club will be putting on a production of Coraline, and the Diversity Club held a movie night and ran the mock election at the Crossroads with real voting booths. Class presidents have been voted for and will be announced publicly at the pep rally. The canned food drive has begun, and Spirit Weeks are this week and next week. Here are some issues that we want to hit on. Some shops have been moved to first lunch. Students are upset that they're separated from their shop lunch friends, as well as teachers having trouble rescheduling shop breaks. The solution to this would be to move only exploratory students' lunches with the idea that co-op will balance out the number of students in the cafeteria once freshmen choose their shop. Also, the current fundraisers of some classes, like the popcorn and licorice, are unlikely to turn much profit for fundraising. Fundraisers like these are expensive for those buying the product, especially for popcorn and licorice, which many people would not find spending this amount of money on. The solution to this might be hosting fundraisers such as crowdfunding, bake sales, game nights, auctions where students in shops such as carpentry, metal fab, advanced manufacturing, and possibly others create a sculpture or other art piece for auctioning, or purchasing something to have in the new school. For example, like the bricks out front that we have that have people's names on them that they purchase. Other Diman clubs already implement some similar fundraisers and they seem to be successful. Similarly, homecoming tickets have become very expensive recently, in recent years, and I think that something like a school thrift store where students can donate their unused dresses and dress clothes to the school, and they can either resell them for a cheaper price or give them away to students, and that might help mitigate some of the money that students spend on attending homecoming. And finally, lunches have recently felt significantly less filling and diverse than they were in the past. Just on this month's lunch menu for November, chicken patties are on the menu twice this week. French toast sticks are served twice, and different forms of chicken with sauce are served 3 times. Not only myself, but other students have commented on not feeling full after being served these meals. Surveys have been done in the past years to determine what lunches students enjoy the most. However, I don't have access to those results. Here are some meals that students enjoy and are a little bit more diverse than what we have currently on the menu. Popcorn chicken bowl, General Tso's chicken, Italian sandwich, buffalo chicken dip is a very popular one. Soup and sandwich is very filling, chow mein, sloppy joes, chicken bacon cheddar sandwich, and the beef chili with cheese. I understand that not all those things are always in our control, so I don't really have a solution for that, but that's just my suggestion.
Okay, can I ask you questions about the fundraisers?
Yes.
You mentioned the popcorn election. I totally agree with you because some of the fundraisers that come home from the schools tend to be pricey and people, they wouldn't normally spend that kind of money on that. Who chooses the fundraisers?
The fundraisers are by the advisors themselves. They look for the best bang for the buck. And unfortunately, that does translate out to some very expensive fundraising that goes on. I'll use the popcorn, which just took place. The popcorn, it's run by a company that says, if you sell this, we will give you that. It's, for lack of a better statement, it's kind of down and dirty, where they know they can do a very quick turnaround, get the product out. It might be something that people enjoy, so we're not talking about the enjoyable factor, but we're talking about the expense. And I know what Ace is saying. When you look for the thing of popcorn and you're being charged $18 for a popcorn, you go, grief. But the return to the club is also not quite 50-50, but it's high. But I understand what you're saying, that the normal school student in the building is probably not going to spend $15 or $17 on popcorn.
I'll give you the $8. I don't need the popcorn.
Yeah, that's what she said too the other day, so that's why I suggested crowdfunding on there as well.
You know, there's been some at the crossroads when students do sell. There's some good stuff that's out there fairly inexpensively. They were just selling some lollipops like $2 for $1 or something
The
like
problem
that.
is you don't make, it takes a lot more of those to make the bucks. So
Yeah.
that's what they're looking for.
They're looking for the maximum return in the shortest amount of time. So you sell a product which people enjoy eating, but you sell it at a premium price.
And distribution's always a problem too. Once the products come in and if it's a large quantity of something that's a larger
It is.
purchase.
I think that popcorn, when they pay to all the, they send them out, right? Doesn't the popcorn
Yeah.
companies, they
Direct.
don't even bring it
Wow.
in.
Well, that's
They don't even
perfect.
come in,
That's a plus then.
doesn't come in. You just get the money, but it is expensive, you're right. It
Yeah,
is
no, you're right.
expensive.
It's a good point. Very valid point.
Just to, in case the public's listening, the reason that our sports have all, the first round been eliminated is unfortunately we're in Division I. Most Voc schools are in 3 or 4. Hopefully, I know that our athletic director is working on that to get us back to where we belong. Unfortunately, 2 years ago, it slipped by us where other vocational schools were put to 1, appealed it right away, and they're dropped back down to 3 or 4. So hopefully that Division I status for Diamond will be put back where we belong, which is 3 or 4. So hopefully that straightens that out.
Oh, just a question. What puts you in the category?
All right, what they do is the MIAA, every 2 years reorganizes. And sometimes they just look at student population and they just, boom, send it out.
So
Now
part of
you-
it, part of it is population.
Population is the goal, and it's females and males. So if we had, years ago, some male sports were at a higher division and females were lower because there weren't as many females in the school. But the MIAA does give the right to appeal, which a lot, like, I'll give you New Bedford Voc, for example, they were put to Division I. They appealed, they went back to 3. So this is hopefully, we're gonna get back to where we need. This is the second year of this. I was upset when I heard it happen. I know what Mr. Bentley and I had a discussion on it. And hopefully, we go through the process properly, and we're ahead of the game, and we get Diamond back to where they belong in Division 3 or 4.
How do you go through the process?
It's an appeal process with the MIAA,
Who does it?
the athletic director and the principal. The second is the fundraising. I have an idea that I'll swing by Mr. Bentley later, of a fundraiser that I have done. And it grosses 100%, but it's a mailing thing, but I'll talk to Mr. Bentley about that off camera. And as far as the meals go, totally hear you. I mean, my granddaughter takes a lunch every day because she says they suck. I said, gee, but I give you, I love the lunch lady. She would throw more on my dish. So, but the meals.
Yeah, well, I think for me, Me
Sorry,
personally, it's
sorry,
not really,
but
it's the
it-
quality of the food, because
Yes.
I think it's definitely acceptable for
Yeah,
what it's served,
thank
but it's
you.
just like the variety is not really there.
Correct, and that is, a lot of that is governed by the state of what we can serve and not serve.
Yeah,
Here.
I found a menu from December of last year, and that menu only had one repeating meal, and it was chicken patty that was served on the first of the month and the last day that we had before Christmas break, so it wasn't really close together at all.
So, all right, I'm sure Mr. Bentley got a server already down, and I'm sure. he'll-
I did. And Ace, I do want to, what you said about the food, we can work on that together. And I do say, Mrs. Weckes are coming in here and listening, but I wanted to talk to you about, just make a comment on your truthfulness in your report, okay? The voice of the students need to be heard. I've always said that. You know, I'm out in the hallways a lot. People talk to me about many, many things. I know Mrs. Weckes is doing the same thing, but we need to have the truth in exactly what you're saying. If something's on the student's mind, that needs to be channeled up. You know, don't be afraid to talk to us, which you don't seem to be at all. And I encourage that openness and honesty, but we need to hear it. And I've said that to other student representatives before, and some are like, okay, but I need that. We need that, as in the leadership positions we're in, we need to know what the student's thinking. We may not agree on everything, but if we don't hear it, we have to have a discussion about it. On homecoming, I'm very sensitive to your point there, and I see where you're going with that the peripheral costs for homecoming can add up to a big night. But this year, to let the committee know here, the cost per ticket was $45 a ticket is what the charge was. I added it up coming in tonight because I always do my homework before one of these meetings, so I don't get caught off guard. The total cost of homecoming this year came out to $35,822. We had 850 students, which means that came out to a total cost of $42.14 per attendee, and we charged $42. So there was only a $2.86 buffer in there for that. So did you go to homecoming?
I didn't go this year, but I have gone the past 2 years.
But it's good that you're keeping your eye on the escalating costs of what could stop students from going. 850 students, not much stopped them this year. We have a bigger place next year that we booked. But the thrift store, we did do that this year for a select group of students that came. We went up to Boston and picked up some dresses and some suits that the students could wear in good shape. But the concept of what you're saying, of putting them somewhere, getting them and putting them off to give to the students, I think that's a great idea. We just need a place for the students, where to put them.
Yeah.
We're running out of space.
Because I know I definitely have some clothes that are really like only a one-time thing. I think other people would enjoy those as well. And I would enjoy finding something new if it was cheap or free, so.
Sure.
Because you can blow like $100 on one dress sometimes, so.
Yeah, and I did see what the students were wearing that night, and it was quite a bit of money that was spent on clothing. And if any cost could be cut, we gotta pay for the meal no matter what the charge is. That has to be incorporated in the price of the ticket, the DJ, the photo booth, that kind of stuff that had to go, the police detail. We should be able to get the police for free, but that's another story for another time. But it all came down to a very reasonable price charge, the $45 for $42 and what I said, 16 cents anyway. So it was pretty good.
Yeah.
But the other costs are expensive. But I
Yeah.
encourage those ideas that we can put forward to the students to make donations, all right, through their families that can benefit other people to go and cut down on the cost. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
Oh, very good.
No. Thank you.
Are you busy tonight, Ace? I see you're dressed in what I would call Skills USA attire.
Well, I assumed I would have to be a little bit fancier for this meeting, so. This is what I did wear to Skills USA, so. It's very accurate.
Very nice.
I'm not very busy. I just came from family planning where I work for them basically for the teen program that they have there.
Nice.
Good. Excellent. Well, welcome aboard.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to 1.5 citizen input. We have anybody signed up? Seeing none. 2.1, I have anything. 3.1A, MSBA School Building Committee update.
Yes, we had an MSBA meeting on Monday night, and the project's going well according to our architect and our management company. and our building company, as you see outside, the building is moving right along. They're into their third phase. As they're doing the first and second phases, they are cementing the floors and they're starting to close it in. And the close in will give them an opportunity to work during the winter months. They're also working on the sewage and the electrical hookups. That is almost complete to the building. And they've got carpenters on hand, and every day there's more and more trades coming in. So we are moving right along on the building. No problems at all. Has there been any problems reported to you?
None. It's been, we're on a good stretch right now.
Yeah.
We're on a good stretch.
So with that, we have a community meeting coming up on the.
We do have a community meeting coming up on November 20th, where we're inviting all the neighbors to come in, get updates on the project, offer input on any questions, concerns, problems they may be encountering. I invite all the members of the school committee, if available, to make it that night. It's November 20th, 5:30 in room 251.
Very good. And any complaints or anything coming in from the neighbors?
No.
No. So everything is moving great.
All right, moving on to the MSBA project expenditures. Mr. Kitchen's not here today.
Mr. Kitchen is not here tonight, but he has left in your packet complete information on all the services.
He's on.
Has
He's on
he been on?
Oh, he's on.
Oh,
Yeah.
excellent. Thank you.
Oh, okay.
Hi, Paul.
Mr. Kitchen, are you there?
I'm here. Mr. Bentley could have read them off. The month expenditures Colliers is actually the September bill for $131,208.04. Castle Booze is for October's bill, and that is $162,467. We have one from Suffolk for $5,630,877.88. Also include, yep.
Sorry for interrupting you. Suffolk submitted a revised invoice that was on your additional packet.
No.
And it is a little bit less than that.
All right, that was the pencil wreck that we received, so I'm not sure of the number. Mr. Bentley can perhaps read that.
Should have it in the packet, but
The
this is it.
amount certified, Paul?
Yeah,
The amount certified is $5,017,207.21.
Yep, that's
all
the.
right.
That's the revised figure, Paul.
Yep, and then Yankee Engineering is 14,920. It's very hard to read, but it is from previous testing. Then we have the bond expenditures for Locklord, Moody's, and Unibank. Locklord is 42,500. Moody's is 11,000, and then Unibank is 35,037.50 for the last bond that we did in September.
I need a motion to approve all those expenditures as
Motion made.
presented. Need a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? All set. Thank you, Paul. Mr. Kitchen.
We're good. So
All
under,
right, moving on to B, personnel.
yes, under personnel before the committee, you see the appointments, the resignations, the retirements, and we'll move into the votes where it's needed just after that. But this is regular and normal. Mostly, as you see, they are long-term substitutes. We've had a number of faculty members who have gone out on ill, volunteer leave, or they've gone on leave, that's it. We also have the resignation, as you see, of our director, and we've had retirement of a physics teacher, Evan Schofield. On the advisory board appointments, Mr. Seth Eli, automotive collision, he has 25 years of experience. He's also a Diamond graduate, I'll point that out. Corey Gaspar, programming web development. He's a current student in the program, and he has extensive knowledge of programming languages. Andrew Rodricks in electronics. Mr. Rodricks, 10 years of experience in the technology field. He's worked as an information system security manager. And Andrew Whitcamper, electronics. Andrew is the father of our student representative who just presented. And he's a retired U.S. Navy officer, over 22 years of experience working in operating, maintaining, repairing diesels, machinery, AC&R, boats, generators, commercial kitchen supply, kitchen equipment. And he's currently a training specialist. The recommendation to the board is to appoint Seth Eli, Corey Gaspar, Andrew Rogers, and Andrew Whitcamp to the advisory board of their identified programs for a term of 3 years.
Need a motion to approve? Need a second? Second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
I have a quick question, Mr. Chairman. These guidance counselors, this is an important aspect of the school. These 2 guidance counselors that come in,
Yes.
are they trained?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
Mr. Thomas Corey was a longtime guidance counselor for the city of Fall River at Jeffrey High School. Rachel
Awesome.
Monty, also a guidance counselor, not as long as Mr. Corey. Diamond graduate, she went on, achieved her degrees, and came back into the field of guidance counseling. And she has worked here last year when we had a counselor go out ill. Actually, when we were in the interim phase with Mr. Silva, and we needed a replacement for his guidance counseling positioning. And so she has returned to us this year. She is filling in for a guidance counselor out right now on sick leave.
Okay, thank you. And then the long term for the medical assistant, is that a skilled?
Yes, Ms. Shubatowski was a former employee here in the the health assisting program for many, many years. She did retire, and because I have a long leave of absence for the current medical assisting teacher, she stepped in to help out. She has since moved on from here because the teacher has returned on a part-time basis until she goes back out again. She is currently very pregnant.
Yes.
So she is here part-time right now. When she goes out, we do have a replacement coming back.
Thank you. Good.
Okay, moving on to 3.1 other matters. C, student travel.
On student travel, we have Skills USA advisors have submitted an overnight student travel request for students to participate in the
Mr.
fall.
Chairman, the new agenda has this. New agenda has another C, right? Not much. Not the only, but it affects, it's my contract thing. You gotta skip it anyhow, but I think you gotta, I just don't want you to do the contract.
Yeah, I thought I
I
had.
thought I had the new one too.
It was on the table when you came
Yeah, I
in.
thought I put the other one aside and grabbed the new one, and I don't. My fault.
Sorry, so keep one line, Mr. Chairman, I just had it on the top of it.
Yeah,
I just don't want you to just do the contract, you gotta
oh, you know what, it's on this
Yeah,
one.
notify, we're
Okay.
gonna come back out of open session.
All
I
right,
can come after executive session, so you go to D,
okay,
which is student travel.
okay, so that's the. Okay, is that anything on the,
Thank you, Attorney, brilliant. So to continue on that, with the narrative on it, but they're putting to do an overnight travel request November the 24th and 25th in Marlboro. The recommendation is to approve the overnight student travel request submitted by Skills USA advisors for students to participate in the Marlboro Conference November 24 into 25.
recommendation is to approve, need a motion, need a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Next is the drafting program have submitted an out-of-state student travel request for students to learn about the Gilded Age architecture in Newport, Rhode Island, December the 19th from 8:30 a.m. until 2:15 p.m. It is out of state, so it's before the committee. The recommendation is to approve this out-of-state travel request submitted by drafting students to learn about the Gilded Age of architecture in Newport, Rhode Island, December the 19th.
Need a motion to approve? Need a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
The next is for the dental assisting program. Instructors have submitted an after-hours student travel request for students to attend the dental conference being held at the Boston Convention and Exhibition Center in Boston, Massachusetts, January 30th, 2025, from 8:30 a.m. until 5 p.m. And the recommendation is to approve this after-hours student travel request submitted by the dental assisting program for students to attend the dental conference at Boston on January 30th, 2025, 8:30 to 5.
Need a motion to approve? Need a second? All in favor? Aye.
And
Opposed?
the next is from the ski club advisors have submitted an out-of-state student travel request for students to attend field trip at Pat's Peak Ski Area in Henniker, New Hampshire on March the 8th, 2025, from 5:30 a.m. until 7 p.m. And the recommendation is to approve the out-of-state travel request for the ski club to go to Pat's Peak in Henniker, New Hampshire, March 8th, 2025, 5:30 a.m. to 7 p.m.
Need a motion to approve? Need a second?
Second.
All in favor?
You're gonna do that in one day.
Yes, it's a long day and the kids come back exhausted and they love it.
It's fun. I've gone in the past years I've gone.
Okay.
It's a good time.
Okay, so this would be E, the Key Club advisor, co-advisor, I should say.
You are correct. The Key Club, due to the number of participants this year, have asked to have a second advisor put on. This coincides with the language in the contract, which indicates that when a number of student participants goes over a certain number, that a second advisor can be recommended to advise, and that is what is before you tonight. And the recommendation is to approve the co-advisor for the Key Club for a TTA contract. This is the first time that we've had this many students participate.
Need a motion to approve? Need a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Moving on to F, the fall advisory board report.
As the full advisory reports, I believe, were emailed to all the members of the school committee, is that correct?
Yeah, we actually have a hot copy.
It is, okay, it's in there. I know one was emailed and the other was.
It was the end of the year
That's
report.
the one. Thank you very much for that. And that is for information purposes. I would ask that the committee, when they can, to go through, it, please come back with any questions or concerns you may have. They're fairly well done.
I read them at home, I took one just so they come up, but phenomenal job. This was, who directed all this?
That put it in there, that was all done with the full advisory reports, that's all done with Maria Torres and her administrative assistant, Leslie Camo.
And we print all these up, phenomenal.
Yeah, very
And
good.
they standardized the format of what has to be there because it makes it easy reading and it flows. It just
Very
flows.
nice.
Okay, moving on to G, end of year report.
Yes, and this one is the one that I just made reference to inadvertently. This is the end of year report from all the clubs and activities that took place over the last school year. The committee has had this email to them due to the size of it. It's quite voluminous. I asked the committee that when you can to read through it, any questions or concerns that you may have, please come back. But it does describe the activities that were done, the number of participants, and the outcome of each of the clubs.
Very good. Moving on to H, the bid award.
Ellen, Mr. Kitchen is still online.
I am.
Yeah.
There are two items that I'm asking for the committee to approve. One is for a CNC machine for the carpentry shop. We put a bid out for a new CNC full length board cutter, and that was for to be awarded to Aikens Machinery in the sum of $202,606. That will complete the shop for their equipment. The second is Mid-Atlantic Machinery. It's for a hydraulic shear in the sum of $123,900. That will be coming from the Skills Capital Grant.
What shop is that for?
That's for Metal Fab. So Metal Fab still has about $400,000 on the Skills Capital Grant to spend before June.
All right, any questions, comments? The recommendation is to award the bids as Mr. Kitchen presented.
So
Need a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Thank you.
Okay, you want to stay on for the surplus?
Sure. What we did was we went through some of the equipment, multiple shops, Metal Fab, Auto Collision, building and grounds had some desks outside one of the tanks, carpentry, building and property, drafting, physical education, and again, Metal Fab at the end. So they were all in good condition. We put them on the auction site. The auction closed the other day. All items were sold. So we'll look at allowing them to be released.
Perfect.
Very good.
what is that website again? I know Mr. Jeffries
Auctions International. So what we do is once we list the items, they come down, they take photographs of them, And then once they're going to list them, we notify the department heads, they notify the advisory board members, and usually anybody in the shops. There's nothing of significance here, other than perhaps building and property had a bed mill to use, and we had already replaced it. And then there were two bandsaws out of metal fab at the end there. But they came in somewhere around $1,300 per machine. So to date in surplus, we've sold 426 items, and we have received over $400,000.
All right, no recommendation to approve the list as submitted. Need a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Good job, thank you.
Yep.
Moving on to J, financial report.
There's nothing significant. There will be some increases in the extraordinary line, which is, I believe, on page 3. Page 3, halfway down, it says extraordinary maintenance. It's a negative 91,000. Usually in February, we receive our notification from the Department of Ed that we have to have our carryover, and then it surpluses that line. So the negative is not truly a negative. And then the monthly advisory on the clubs I've also included. There was a request on the school store. I did submit that to Mr. Jennings and Mr. Began, and that will be on next month's agenda when I'm available.
Paul, on these ones that are negative at this time, is that going to be readjusted next month?
For the extraordinary, it'll be adjusted in February. For the other ones, it's usually due to the encumbrances. So once we clear out some of the encumbrances, then it'll go back into the positive.
Thank you.
Any other questions on the? Seeing none, moving on to K, you have some expenditures.
Yep. So we have our MSBA expenditures, and then below that is expenditures that are from regular appropriation and grants. I had mentioned at the last meeting we had the opportunity to pick up another activity bus. So I did request from the chairman to purchase it. That was $91,182. So that will give us 3 activity buses when we close this. Hopefully, when we close this school year, 2 for athletics and 1 for carpentry. Turf-Tech is a automated line painter. So what it does is basically it'll do baseball and football, soccer. And so in the future, when we have to paint the fields, and when we're painting the fields down at Henry Lord, basically we just set it and forget it. It does it automatically. It does it through GPS. Keystone is supplies for collision, which is a Perkins purchase. Chemnut is 6 additional lifts for auto tech. So in the spring, we'll be surplusing 6 lifts. Velocity is the MSDS sheets. We're doing them or automating the inventory on those. Then we have Aikens, which we just approved. Johnson Lancaster is for the skills capital for culinary, and 824,967 and 21 cents. That should eliminate the full amount of the $1 million for culinary. The other culinary is for the new building for the student cafe, which is based off the architect's designs for 534,867 and 05. That is a combination of what they have in their revolver and some of the extraordinary expenditures also. So we'll balance that out as we move along. Electronics has a few purchases, which they have a skills capital grant also for this year for $250,000. So this first purchase is for $27,725. EdTech, again, $25,295. Trammell equipment, $86,390. That is for new workstations inside the electronics. So we have those wood stations, which the riser where the computer is not sufficient. So Mr. Bodwin had identified a new workstation. And what we'll do is, with the Skills Capital Grant, we'll replace those items. Again, Vertex Robotics, 10,565.45. Next gen is supplies, and that is the end of the ESSA grant for 14,294.79. We did some repairs in the gymnasium with Hussey. Centigrade is textbooks for health careers, 18,824. Then we have the homecoming expense, 31,570.78. Mid-Atlantic is the share that we just approved. And then Metal-Fab has 2 shares from Ritchie and Son, not shares, I apologize, 2 saws. So where we just got rid of the dual saw and the horizontal saw, this is the replacement for those items. So the horizontal saw is $28,125. The dual saw is $12,800. So as with the skills grants, we're trying to refresh equipment that we're going to bring down to the new building, but have it on place. But we have until June of this year to spend the money down. So we still have about, like I said, 400,000 in metal fab. Culinary is done. We spent the 2 million on the project, and then we still have $1 million to spend at Collision. But the instructors went down to SEMA this week, and they'll be returning tomorrow, possibly Monday. And those are primarily going to be the purchase of new paint booths. Because I think with the 2 paint booths in the freshman area, it's going to roughly be between 500,000 and 600,000. And then we'll have some lifts and some other items that they're going to be buying to spend out the skills capital.
Need a motion to approve
Mr. Chairman, just have the record reflect that the agenda has an amount for Suffolk, which has to be revised because they had the new order, so the amount.
The pencil rack, yeah.
Yeah, so the new amount is 5,017,207.20.
That was the one we approved.
That's what we approved.
Yeah, and now
Approved earlier, yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah, right, just have it reflect that in the new agenda.
Okay.
Thank you.
Need a motion to approve
So
the
moved.
expenditures. Need a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to admissions subcommittee report. We actually had a meeting prior to this meeting, and we're not making no changes to our policy at this time. For a recommendation.
The subcommittee found through the very hard work of Mrs. Lynn Griffith, who is the director of guidance and admissions, that at this point, we're going to stay the course and that we are not recommending any changes to the current admissions policy of Diman Regional. This also gives us a chance to dig deeper into those schools that do have influence and send us students as to why they're doing certain things. One of the good highlights that came out, there were a lot of good highlights that came out, was that there's a council of breakfast coming up in order to key in on specifically that area called recommendations, and to have a little training session for the counselors in the other sending schools. But that doesn't influence any changes that we should make at this time. So the recommendation to the committee was that for the class of 2029, no changes occur in the admissions policy for Diman Regional.
Have they started going out to the schools yet?
They start that tomorrow. And they already have what did she report out tonight? 550 on the applications that have already come in. But she pointed out some interesting facts, digging deep. She did a real deep dive into those schools that send us students and how they look at our students and grade them to come to Diman. So it was a very interesting report.
Are they all very different? Yeah.
They all have some variances, but there was one telltale, and I believe that this is in your packet. If I can just point out one, yes, there is. There is a sheet that's included in your Looks like this, the
Yeah.
sheet,
The grid.
with the one. Okay, and she took the time to go through every single school that applies to Diamond. And she looked at specifically how they rank our students according to the recommendation and the overall point total that it leads to the schools. And there's some glowing disparities and some interesting numbers that pop out. I'll say it that way. So this will give us, though, the time here at Diamond to dig deeper into these numbers to see if there should be any modifications. But at this time, and we're not under any mandate to change anything.
But we had to get the,
We had to get a notification to the Department of Ed for November the 20th. That's what we will do.
I guess I missed something. What is the overall average? What is that? 40, 60, 25, 29? What is
that's the
that?
guidance.
You can get up to a 60 on on the recommendation. So that's the average recommendation that the students were sent in by their schools. Most of the schools were between 42 and 50 something on their recommendation scores
And
for
then you had
students.
some that gave 60 across the board.
Yeah. And then there were some that gave far less.
You throw out the high and the low, and you see that the average came out to like 41%. The number of 41 out of a possible 60. 60 is the maximum points, right? So she did an assessment of all the schools that applied to Diamond, all the applications that came in. And you see the highs, I won't name the schools, but you can see them with the 60s. And then you see the lows, and then you see the schools that have like the 20s or the 25s. And it's a little cause for us to look back and say, they need a better education on how to recommend students to them.
Do we have to sort of give them an idea of what we're looking for?
We have a rubric, yes, we do have a rubric, and they follow the rubric, but there are some schools, and we heard this tonight, that just give everybody the maximum amount of points because they don't want to feel guilty about a student not getting into Diamond. Then we had other schools that don't want to give any points at all, and they deliberately put it down low because they don't want their students to come to Diamond. So we feel that an educational breakfast, which she's going to have, and explaining the process, how to actually accurately recommend students to Diamond and be honest with it, is a good approach. She also is going out tomorrow with some people to go to the sending schools to start being in person, talking about Diamond. What questions do you have?
Well, if schools don't want to send kids here, we're probably not gonna change their mind.
It's not, but it's good to see in writing, it's good to see how there's a wide variance and why is it so wide? How can you have some that are automatically 60s and others that are not? There's gotta be something in there.
I think the hard part is if you have students from a school who want to come to Diamond, if a school is giving deliberate low recommendations to keep those students in their district or school, I think they're doing a disservice to their own students.
Yes. And there
And that
are,
needs to be
and
recognized.
there are schools that are doing that.
Yes,
I believe so.
Okay.
yes, because those students coming from that school with the low recommendations, they're in competition with everybody else. And that student may be an ideal vocational school, vocational talent for us to go after, right? But they're being kept out because of a recommendation score. So there's a more discussion coming on this.
Is there rationale that they are providing the services themselves that, for those students?
No, the rationale just kind of very plain and simple, is they don't want them coming to Diamond. They want to retain them for their own
In their system.
benefit.
All right, so instead of having the guidance counselors at the middle school sending you the rubric, why can't you ask for their last grades?
Well, they do. They get the grades.
So, and attendance and everything else, so if you get all that, then you don't need this, you just do your own rubric.
Well, we send them the rubric that we have developed at Diamond.
Yeah, what I'm saying is you don't know how true it is.
And that's where she's going with this.
Right.
We don't believe they're following it the way it was
Correct.
intended.
Because I've heard before that some kids who have great grades and great attendance are not getting in, and kids who their parents are saying, great, the kid never went to school and was always in trouble, get in before their child. And I said, I don't know what to tell you, I know there's a roof, that's all I say. So is that the schools not doing the roofing properly, just so they don't lose
We
their
believe
better
that's part of it.
students?
Yeah.
We believe that is part of it, and that's why the Director of Guidance and Admissions is taking on the tack that she is, which is having that, the meeting of the council, saying you're doing it exactly the way it was intended. You can do better. It's also on us too. It's also on us too at Diamond to take a look at the rubric to say, is this the best tool possible, or should there be something else?
And it should be getting better, because I know during COVID, nobody was in schools, nobody was going to see their guidance counselors, and the guidance counselor was still giving recommendations, whichever.
Same way it is, Anna.
I think in general, Mrs. Bibiazzo, is that most of the schools are doing it the right way and are taking the time to put in a real-time recommendation as to where their student falls. But there are a few outliers that are recognized
On both sides.
on both sides, that we should address.
And that's what the intent that she's been working on with all this data that she has produced is to show us, what do other schools do? What are we doing? What can we do better? Is there something we're missing? What are they missing at the sending schools?
Is this from last year, or
This coming year.
this is 758 applications already this
Oh,
year?
I'm sorry, yes, I'm sorry.
This is
what you're
from
looking
last
at?
year.
This is from last year, okay.
Get a wide variety of schools that are applying, huh?
Oh, yes.
So the recommendation would be to keep the admissions as is this coming school year.
So moved.
Need a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Great. No fix was not broken.
Exactly.
Thank you for saying that, Mr.
Yeah.
Manuel. I know I believe that every day that I'm here.
Okay, the house building program, Mr.
The house building, Mr. Jennings and myself, went up to see the project last weekend. The walls are up. They're starting to work on the roof, and, speaking with the restorers the other day, they hope to have the roof and everything closed in, windows on, before winter break. So, which is great news, and that they'll have it all closed in, so in January, when they return, there'll be no stoppage. They'll go right indoors and keep working. So, it's a good sized home, and and we were, Paul and I were very impressed with,
Nice, coming right along.
so we couldn't jump up there, but his wife jumped right up.
Who jumped up his wife?
Yeah.
Isabel jumped
I know it's
We were looking around, we didn't see her. All of a sudden, oh, she's up top.
So I can't get up there. As far as the community projects, it's what you see here. The only thing I'll ask, Mr. Bentley, if a project gets sent in, and I know Mr. Began sent in a couple of projects, we'd like to get them listed on here. So if Westport has a project that's even if it's in the evaluation stage, it should be sent in. So I know we'd like to see that on these papers. So it looks like we have projects from all communities, and if they don't go through, we'd like to know why. So
How about meet with Mrs. Stars and say that one project's been in, you'd like to add it onto this list?
right,
No
and
matter what stage it is.
right, and some of these, it doesn't take 2 months to evaluate why we're not putting roofs on the dugout. So I know Building and Property's been out there. I know they're talking with Barry, and like in Somerset, for example, I actually know why are we still evaluating? What are we doing there? Are we doing them? I know they asked for a shed too. What we do with the shed? So I'd like to point out those things. As far as Fall River, we have some projects that are waiting for material and others that are working, but we just want to make sure that the projects are divvied up between the 4 communities. I think next month we're going to have a house building committee meeting with the chairman, and we should start advertising December.
It goes up.
Yeah, so we'll have a house building. We'll have a house building next month, just so we can talk about that and talk about how the project's going before winter break.
You want to find out that there's a very good article that appeared in versions of the Florida Herald News on house building.
Yeah, I read it.
Very well done. Very happy to see that everybody had their safety glasses on.
Okay, any questions on the House bill? Seeing none, moving on to the superintendent report.
Very briefly, that first item is that to welcome the new principal who you did meet this evening. She has been a welcome addition here at Diamond. She's fitting right in. She's doing a lot of back work in order to get herself caught up to speed. She is a very quick read, and she has a very good mindset of vocational education, where people have to be, accountability and education, and where the students are going. So she's a welcome addition. Enrollment report, the enrollment report is before you, as you read from earlier this evening from Ms. Griffin, is that as the numbers lessen just a little bit, she's working on retaining as best as she can the original opening day enrollment. There is a breakdown attached. Admissions report, 526 students have already applied to Diamond, and we have not really gotten into we're kind of in the appetizer mode right now. We haven't gotten into the meat and potatoes of the recruitment of new students. Cooperative education has really hit a new benchmark. 176 seniors are out, so not quite 50%, but we're getting there. Mr. Marcisson is doing a wonderful job. And the last is, I brought it up there, but it was good to hear our student rep tonight about the math club doing very, very well. And that's the report.
Very good. Any questions? Seeing none, moving on
I
to
just
the.
have one question on the
Oh, yeah.
co-op. You said you had almost 50%. Juniors are eligible in January, correct?
Juniors are coming up very shortly.
Right
To
up,
that-
right up.
If I may, I'll talk to that point. We're starting something coming up in January called a family forum. And the first two things that are going to be spoken about, it's going to be in person and hybrid, done by the Family Advisory Council here. I'll be there, Mrs. Wackerson will be there, Mr. Marcisson will be there. We're going to be focusing in on student placement and jobs for the freshmen, because parents always have questions about that. And juniors are going out to co-op. What do you need, when to do it, how to get ready, and how to prepare. That's all coming up January, I think January the 12th, 2025. We have that on.
You're always invited.
Moving on to calendar events.
Calendar of events are, as you see it there, we're looking at our first one, which is November. Coming up, we do have a early dismissal tomorrow. We have the traditional Thanksgiving holiday break at the end of the month. Okay, so
Yeah, next school committee meeting is scheduled for the 12th of December.
We have this on the 11th, right?
Oh, the signing.
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah,
Okay.
I apologize, I should have
you
looked at it.
have it right in front of you. There should be an invitation to attend called the topping off of the deed signing. It will be a 3-day event here for the students or two to get everybody's signature initials on it, the faculty. But for the this committee and one other committees, December the 12th at 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
You
It's
have
going to be in the, it's
11th.
going to be in the front of our building.
The 11th, correct?
I'm sorry, the 11th. Did I say the
Yeah.
12th? I'm sorry, apologize.
12th is the school committee.
12th.
Yes. It's the last date I heard, that's the one I said. It is on the 11th, it is at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and it's going to be taking place in the front of our building where you see the flyers that are up front that are sticking in the ground. It's going to be in that area.
Okay.
Will not, promise it will not be as long as the groundbreaking ceremony.
Very simple.
Yes, it is.
All right, moving on, we don't have anything else on 48 hours. And we have a reason to go into executive
Yes, we
session.
do. Mr. Chairman, pursuant to Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 38, Section 21A, Paragraph 2, conduct strategy session, preparation, negotiation, personnel, personnel, individual contract, for the legal counsel pursuant to Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 38, Section 21A, Paragraph 3. Discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining litigation, open meeting matter, which will affect on bargaining or litigating position of public bargaining chair so declares, which he has, that will be discussing the DAA and DTA negotiations. We will be coming out of executive sessions. If from executive session, there may not be votes.
Need a motion to go to executive session. Need a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Roll call?
Mr. Jennings,
Yes.
Mr. Beegan,
Yes.
Mr. DiBiaseu,
Yes.
Mr. Manuel.
Yes.
Ms. Menard,
Yes.
Dr. Nera.
All right,
We're back.
we're in open session, need a roll call?
Mr. Jennings,
Here.
Mr. Beegan.
Yeah.
Mr. DiBiaseu.
Yes.
Mr. Manuel.
Yeah.
Ms. Menard,
Yes.
Dr. Nera.
Okay, we're back in open session, moving on to the legal counsel's contract.
3.1C. And the vote should be taken on the.
Yep.
the-
Need a motion to approve the contract
So
as
moved.
stated. Need a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
All right,
Nothing
need a
else.
motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Need a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So.
Meeting adjourned.